Some very interesting news from the world of ancient written languages. Because until today, I thought that the oldest written language in the world was either prototype Egyptian hieroglyph or like Sumerian cuneiform, right? But there is an ancient archaeological site called Harappa in India, which originally for decades, people had dated it to around 300 BC, around the start of the ancient Egyptians. But they've just re-carbon dated some of the sites and pottery and some bones and found out that it's actually 8,000 years old. And it has its own written language that, get this, nobody in the world has yet deciphered. I'm sorry. So the Indo-Valley civilization in India, known as the Harappan civilization, it's not a new civilization. We've known about it for since they discovered it in the 1800s, or rediscovered it. But what's interesting is that they've now slid the date, so it's now so much older than originally thought. Originally they thought it was Bronze Age, 3000 BC, and now it's been carbon dated officially to 8,000 years old, around 6,000 BC at least. And as I said before, it comes with its own written language that can be found on these little tiny clay chipolatas, whatever they are. Kind of looks like money. But anyway, it's got about 50 characters that have yet to be deciphered by scholars or just people on the internet. In fact, they were so desperate for people to try and decode this that they actually, in 2004, they put not a ransom, what would it be called? A reward, $10,000 if you can crack the Harappan code. So far, no one has. It's tricky because all of the characters are quite different. So these ones here, they look a bit like Scandinavian rune. I swear that middle one is similar to a rune that I've seen. I have runes here, similar. But then other ones look like kind of cone shaped or actual mini pictures rather than just lines. And all the cubes have cows on them. Mystery. See what I mean? Some of them look so different. Anyway, back to the Harappa archaeological site, because it's got a bit of a cool story. So it was discovered in the 1800s, early 1800s, and they originally thought it was a medieval fort, and they didn't really think too much of it until they dug down and discovered, oh, actually this is quite old. And they had somehow dated it to 3,300 BC. There we are. There's a lot of threes. And because initially they didn't think the site was that significant, in the 1870s, when they were building the railroad infrastructure in India, people came and just stole loads of bricks because they were kind of good quality ancient bricks. So much of this site was repurposed into building parts of the railway and other modern structures in the 1870s. And that just makes me think, how many ancient sites have been repurposed in this way throughout time, and chunks have been taken off and moved and recycled. The size of the Harappan civilization was huge. They're talking the same size as England, France, and Spain all together, just for reference here. That is a huge land span. Is that even a word? I'm going to say it. Land span. No, that doesn't work. Just a really huge area that an ancient civilization settled in. So apart from lots of organized housing, they didn't find any huge structures like pyramids, but they did find this 900 square foot water pool, this kind of whatever I'm in right now. And that could signify that this culture really had something to do with water. They maybe revered it for function or religion. But anyway, they used to bathe, quite clearly. Is this a ceremonial water bathing pool? Kind of reminds me of the Osirian, not gonna lie. Here's some more of the untranslated symbols and writing from ancient Harappa, including the cross. And the circle below the cross, that's 100%. I've seen that in Egypt. That's one of the oldest symbols in Egypt. And it's over in India. And then also the swastika, which we know is an ancient Indian symbol, but maybe it goes back way older. So in a nutshell, I can't believe that there's an ancient language that has now been dated to potentially 3,000 years older than other languages that we have in the record, and nobody can solve it. Like, still, even with AI, like, seriously, I need to know. I also can't believe that this isn't bigger archaeological news. Like, they've just dated an ancient site to 3,000 years older than they thought it was. I'm just wondering whether or not, if other sites in the world had a little bit of a redate, there was a little bit of a redig and a redate, I wonder whether or not any of the ancient sites would shift dates, either to be earlier or later. It's just made me think. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes you just never know, and maybe it's worth checking.